Hello and welcome to part 3 of Blue Monday's Jim Magilton special. It's day 30 of lockdown.
Oh.
I understand that your birthday is going to be a bit special this year, Jim. How are you keeping?
Very well. Funny enough, listen, I think cabin fever starting to set in a touch. Started last week. I was climbing the walls, Sean, climbing the walls. But towards the end of the week, I eased through it again. And listen, just keeping myself mentally right and physically right and just dealing with it day to day. Work's been good. We've managed to really nail down the next cohort for our academy here in Northern Ireland. I'm a bit of a dream crusher. I'm going to have to let one or two down, which is devastating. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. I think a personal one-to-one little phone call and tell them it's not the end of the world, albeit they may believe it is, but it's certainly not. So things are taking over nicely. And as I say, I'm keeping my mind occupied.
I saw on your Instagram that you were getting out for a run and having a jog around.
Yeah.
How far?
Oh, 5Ks. 5K's my limit now,
yeah.
So it's not bad. These silly people keep nominating me for 5K. I said, stop it. By the time I'm running marathons now, not my forte, right? As I always say to the kids, the ball never sweats. No. So I've attempted one or two, and I've been okay with it. But yeah, it's obviously the weather is so good, and it's smiles on faces.
Yeah.
And that's been lovely. So being getting out in the fresh air, and actually, you know what I find as well, Sean, that with this social distancing, like people are walking with their heads down, and me being me, I want to have a chat. Oh, how are you? And you know, you're doing all right, and people are like, have a head down. It's making them rude, and I'm not having it.
Do you think they saw you first, and that's why their head's down?
yeah, probably. How's that easier to get? Don't be singing to him. He'll have you there for half an hour.
But no, you're right. I was out walking the other day and came across a couple who were they moved about 20 metres away, and then they had their back to me, and I was like, decent manners here. You could at least say hello or whatever. I know. Strange times.
Yeah, so it is funny times, extraordinary times.
Thanks. I meant to say at the beginning, thanks so much for part 2. It was really great. We got loads of feedback, loads of comments, got some new subscribers, and one of the main reasons was the fact that you were giving away your Inter Milan shirt.
I certainly did.
So later on in the show, we'll announce who's won that. It's not me, so I'm disappointed. So let's go straight in, Jim.
Yeah,
so
let's go.
We finished part 2. George had just been sacked, so we now go in. There's going to be 4 games under Tony Mowbray as caretaker manager. He kind of transitioned onto the coaching staff.
Yeah.
What was it like with no Burley around?
Strange, very strange. Not seeing him. He had a huge influence on everything at the training ground. Huge influence in the dressing room. A lot of players owed him a lot. Not seeing him every day. His voice. As I say, one of his strengths was his consistency and his messages and his sessions. So it was different. And then having Tony there, you know, there was obviously that continuity because Tony was learning from George. I'm sure. Tony gained great experience, valuable experience from George. But then Tony stepped in, and it felt like a natural progression for Tony. Tony had always had a great presence in the changing room anyway. He had a great knowledge, top football 24/7. So I think there was a recognition of all the work that George done. But then there was this feeling. Well, let's get together for Tony. Let's get Tony in the mix, acknowledging that there were going to be people. There was going to be a QMA long for the job, but really together, right? Let's do well. Let's try and get results here for Tony and give Tony a chance.
Do you think he was ever a viable option to become manager?
I think he would have been. Yeah, I think that certainly his whole overall contribution to the club, as I say, his presence within the change room, knew the players. It would have been a natural progression. He made it, he made it known that this was the next step of his career. This was the next phase. He wanted to be a manager, and George Gowan offered an opportunity. And timing is everything in football. So I think he wanted to grasp the nettle, and I think he wanted that chance. And like someone else had to do that a few years later. So I think he was. But at the end of the day, I do think also that there was a huge feeling within the change room and also outside that, you know, this was a fantastic job and George had done a fantastic job and there was the capabilities within the squad to get promoted.
So 17 days later, former Oldham, Everton and Manchester City manager Joe Royle is appointed. He's also familiar to older Ipswich Town fans as he was a former Norwich striker. Can you tell us what your first impressions were when Joe was announced?
I thought it was a really good decision. Based on his vast experience in the game. And it needed that. It needed a steady hand. We were going through tough times. So it needed someone with that presence within the English game. Joe Royle was a big name. There's no question that Joe was a big name. I'd known lots of footballers that worked under Joe and all were very positive. I knew he'd come in and embrace the job. And again, I think his knowledge of having lived down here helped him. He knew that there was going to be certain rivalries brought up. I knew that, listen, Joe had experienced everything that the game had to throw at him. So, and he had great staff. You know, Willie was Willie had been with him all through his managerial career. Steve McCall then was brought in. I thought it was a great mix, and I thought it was a great decision because I really believe that he could handle the outside influences and also have a major influence on the pitch.
You've spoken about Burley's emphasis on passing, and you know Joe Royle's teams were a little bit different to that, perhaps more direct in attack. You know, what were the differences between the two approaches, and did you have to change anything in your game?
Not really. You know, I understood. Listen, Joe was a centre forward and a very, very old-fashioned type, if you like, but was a top player. And Joe's thoughts were get the ball into front players, make them get hold of the ball, drop it off, get the ball away, put the ball in the box. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if it works, it works. But I think he also understood. He'd seen the Ipswich Town from outside. He'd seen how he played. His teams had come up against us and struggled at times, and vice versa. You know, they had really, really good days as well, of course. But I think he was surprised by the quality of the player, like most people were. I don't think he realised the quality of the player still at the club. And I think when he realised that, you know, I think he felt that that he could go maybe a different route and acknowledge that, you know, no matter what way he may have wanted to play, there was characters in the team, there were personalities in the team who would influence others. You know, the ball going over the top of my head consistently wouldn't have happened. You know, and because I would have been barking at centre halves and fullbacks and, you know, pass the ball, let's get us playing. But there was a time when you could go back to front a little bit earlier and also play off that. So, no, listen, there wasn't a great deal of conversations around that. I think he just picked good players and he said, go and play. And that was the other thing. There was a positive influence. When you lose a manager, I'm not a big believer of players standing in front of a camera and turning around and saying, oh, training's this and training's that and training's picked up. And I think that's bunkum. I've heard it all my life. I think you're either a good pro or you're not. And training should be like that no matter who's in charge. So the same people were there. The same influence was there. The same intensity was there. And that was important. And I think Joe recognised that. And again, just come in and let things develop. And of course, like as any manager, you have to stamp your own personality on the football club. And one thing about Joe, he had a wonderful man management style. He was always engaging. He would always want to know about you. He would always have a conversation with you. And that kind of way was Joe. That was a lovely trait that he had.
Did he speak to you as a senior pro and said, you know, Jim, what do you think's happened here?
No, I don't think so. We kind of at the end of the day knew what happened because he was appointed, and I'm sure that was outlined to him within with David, Chairman, Derek, and the board, and he would have known. I would imagine. Listen, I know Joe would have known an awful lot about me because Joe's knowledge of players was so extensive. He knew every player in the league. He could tell you what they're having for their breakfast. That was again another great strength. He knew the leagues. He knew the players. And if he didn't know, he would have got information. Joe was an elder statesman in the game. Joe has a massive reputation in the game, and you only find that when you work with him and you work at close hands with him. And then when you walk in as his captain in the referees' dressing rooms before games, and you could feel the respect that other managers had for him. So no, I don't think he needed that. I think he just wanted to really engage with the players and give them a bit more confidence, knowing that they were in really difficult circumstances.
You talk about, him being a centre forward, and one of the things when a new manager comes in, that players try to stake a claim in the first team, and up step Pablo Couñago, one of the first ones. Now, Pablo's style is pretty distinct from any of the other strikers that you played for. He wants ball to feet, he's got his back to goal, the defenders closing into him. From a central midfielder's point of view, what challenges and opportunities does it playing with a player like Pablo provide?
He was a dream. For me, a dream, because Pablo secured the ball. Now, he had ups and downs, obviously, because at times you weren't sure if Pablo actually really fancied it at times, but that was just his personality. And Pablo was as good a player as I played with too, because I had this, you trusted him. There was a mutual trust. And I knew if I could get the ball into Pablo, or any of the midfield players could get the ball into Pablo, in and around the box, he made things happen. And I remember we got him. He played for, I think, the Spanish under-21s against England and scored a hat-trick. And then we ended up getting him. I think Xavi played that night as well. Xavi and him ripped England to shreds. And when we got him, I thought, it's a massive coup. So, no, for me, Pablo was a match winner. You just had to get Pablo at the levels. And at times, because of his laid-back personality. Now, Pablo had a real streak, and a nasty streak, and you need that to be a top player. He sometimes gave off the impression that you could strap a bed to his back, and he was that laid back. But once you got him on the park, and once you got him switched on, he was a very good player.
So you're in the team from the word go under Joe Royle, and things start to click at the back end of 2002. And I want to take you to December. So you travel up to Anfield for a League Cup tie. You start as sub.
It didn't go down well. That did not go down well, John. He left me out. We went for a walk and he left me out. And this would follow year after year after year. Every time I had to leave Jim out, it was like, oh, how do I do this? Even a man of his experience. So going to Anfield, I'm thinking, mate, well, I'm going to play. Left me out. I was grumping, grouching, and biting, and obviously looking forward to the game. But anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're fine. I'm used to it, Jim. So you, how did he tell you?
I don't know. I think he sent a telegram. I think it was like I think it was Harry Potter. I think the Harry Potter had the owl and he just dropped it on the table. He just named the team. I think he did a runner. No, he named his team, and then he stepped aside, and Willie came up to me, and Steve McCall came up to me, and no, listen, he named his team, and that was fine. At the end of the day, I knew I'd take part at some stage, so it was all right in the end.
So you came on, like you say, with 10 minutes to go, and you played through extra time, and in that time you'd hit a post, and then it went to penalties.
Yeah.
And you scored a penalty at the Kop end. Did you have a feeling at all during that game that was going to be the last time that you'd play at Anfield?
Yeah, it always crossed my mind. I remember warming up, and I was getting a bit of stick. The Scousers were giving me a bit of stick, and the game was on a knife edge. It was one of those games, and I was just itching to get on. Going to places like that, you wanna enjoy every second of it. I was blessed because I played on a Tuesday night in reserves. But, playing there, the feeling of playing there, the crowd on top of you as well. And listen, that was home to me as well. That's my Mecca. And I wanted to get on. I wanted to prove that I could still play at that level. But of course, running through your head is, will I ever get this opportunity again? And when he got the call, boom, on I went. And actually, I was brilliant. I remember being brilliant. So that's well, in my memory is fading, so
it happens with age. I want to ask you, The last time you played Liverpool, you were on the bench, and we played them at home. We lost 6-0. You shared the story that they asked you to go on, and you weren't going to go on. How many times did they ask you to go on at Anfield?
Once.
Yeah.
Joe knew warming up, and I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
He was brilliant. He just said, "I need you to put your foot in the ball. Go and put your foot in the ball." So I went out and put my foot in the ball, and we got playing, and it was a great game. It was end to end. There was a lot of, you think of their team, you think, where the last time we went there, we were so good. Or sorry, the last time we went there, we got hammered. But all the feelings when you go to our ground, you remember. By the way, we won here 1-0. We've actually come here when nobody gives us a hope in hell chance. So in any game of football, you have a chance. So when I went to penalties, you're thinking, right, we will have a chance here. And I remember being very nervous. Jersey Dudek's in goal. I'm thinking, there's a cop. What will it do? And when I scored, I was like, yes, get in. It was, yes, get in. I'm wearing blue tonight. And so no, it was great. And unfortunately, Jimmy Clapham missed.
Yeah, hit the bar.
Donut. And so it's disappointing. But listen, we gave a really good account of ourselves, and we walked away, and there was a lot of good press around it. And Joe saw the quality. I think Joe, again, that was a recognition. Hang on, we've got good players here.
If we move to February 2003, on the 5th of February 2003, Town's Wembley assistant manager Dale Roberts sadly died of cancer, aged 46. How important was he in the success alongside Burley?
Oh, he was massive. He was George's confidant. They'd been together, I think, from very early ages. Dale was in the youth team as well. Do you know what? Dale was sadly missed. I had a brilliant relationship with him. I had a fantastic relationship with him. He was one of them brilliant characters. He could put you down with a one-liner, and he was, he could be aggressive with you, and he knew how to get best out of you. He'd come and have a quiet word, and I really liked him because I could wind him up, and he could wind me up, and there was and George, and never replaced him, if I'm honest, and missed him dearly. I'm sure he did. We all did. He had a massive influence on us all. It was a really sad day. It was like losing one of your own, and he had played such a part in everything that George had set out to accomplish, and Dale went with him the whole way with it.
A few days later, we have a very emotional game at home to Sheffield United, which some people would say almost rivals the Bolton playoff semi-final. Can you remember that game?
No, tell me what happened.
So we were 2-0 down. Pablo being Pablo gets sent off, and then we finally come back and beat them 3-2.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes. Tell me who scored. It's not like me.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Darren Bent.
Yeah.
I think Darren Bent got 2. I think.
Right. Very good. Yeah. Well, that kind of way stoked the fire, didn't it? And I think there was a lot. Obviously, there was a lot of conversation centered around Dale after that, wasn't there? And I think Joe spoke very well about it too. Can't believe it, because anytime you beat Warnock, must have been manager, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah.
Anytime you beat him or his side, there's quite a lot of gloating goes on in the changing room afterwards. Utmost respect for him, what is his achievements, but you always like to beat him.
Yeah, without a doubt. March sees a 2-0 win at Carrow Road, the first Town victory there since you've been a player. How did you find those games at Carrow Road as a player?
The build-up was greater than the game, actually, because in the games, derby games, you're always expecting it to be a little bit more high tempo, a little bit more aggressive. I never found that. Do you know? I found both sets of players very respectful, which I was like, can we just be slightly more nastier? Do you know? And so the games kind of way. Yeah, listen, there's a lot of hurly-burly towards the start of any game, do you know? But I expected a little bit more in the games. I think the fans, obviously, it was a little bit facier in the stands, and there was a recognition, again, from both sets of players that is the case. And it is very much blue and yellow, and you got to go and you got to win the game, and it is pride and all those sorts of things. But you know what, Sean? The moment you go out, you got to, again, the triggers for me was not because it was a derby game. Yeah, there's a level of importance, but it was about, this is a game, and this is a game we got to go out and win, and it's another fixture for us, an important fixture, but it's still a game, and it's a game. Where's the strengths? Where's the weaknesses? How are we going to win the game?
So you didn't do anything different in it for a derby game?
No, because if I'd have done something different and had an absolutely worldly, then I would have kept doing it for the rest of my career. So I just try to stay very consistent. This is what I'm going to do. Who am I playing against? Who's going to, right, okay, let's get fixated on the game, play the game, that occasion. Listen, there were brilliant occasions, I have to say. The fans did everything in their power to help influence the team. There is no doubt about that. And I loved going in. I loved embracing that. That was very passionate for me. But the moment the game kicks off, you and your mates can't influence it, right? You can only influence it if we score a goal or you encourage us. Absolutely get that. But the influencers are on the pitch, and you got to be able to influence the game on the pitch.
So, picking up on that point, do you find that, when fans are booing or cheering or, any comments, who's leading that? Are the players actually setting the atmosphere, setting the atmosphere for the fans, or is the fans' atmosphere sort of geeing you up as players to reach another level?
Well, it's a bit of both. It depends again on your character. If you're influenced by the fans, you shouldn't be in the game. You shouldn't be a professional footballer because really, yes, of course you're aware of it. Of course you are. You're not human if you're not aware of it. But you gotta believe in yourself. You gotta trust yourself. Whether there's 80,000, 100,000 at Wembley or whatever it is, or there's one man and his dog, you're on the pitch. You influence it on the pitch. So, but sometimes I think we get lost in all this is that we're in the entertainment business.
Yeah.
People are paying good money to be entertained. They're not being in there. They're not sitting in the stand. They work hard all week. They pay their dough. They're coming to be entertained. So let's try and entertain them, right? Let's not be that. That's one thing a fan wants is effort. They want to see effort. Do you know what I mean? Well, that's a given. If you're not putting on a shirt and you're not giving effort, you should be a bricklayer. And I love bricklayers. I'm not having to go at any bricklayers out there. So so it's then the game is about scoring goals, creating chances, being entertained. People want to walk away on a Saturday and do smiles on faces. So I was always very conscious that put smiles on faces. And again, the way the game has gone, it evokes opinion. We all sit and have a pint afterwards. Your opinion, you don't know what you're talking about. You're rubbish. You don't know if it's pumped or stuffed, and all this banter. And what about that for a goal? What a goal that was. And what a save and whatever else. It evokes emotion and it evokes opinion, and that's the game we love.
So the season ends with Town in 7th. We just miss off 4 points off the playoffs.
Yeah.
Given the change in manager, the club went into administration, and there was a massive turnaround in players. Was the season? Can we consider it a success?
Yes and no. I think we were disappointed not to get into the playoff. I think Joe was disappointed. Again, the quality of player we still had. I think we were all disappointed. But by and large, given the outside influences and given what we'd just gone through, listen, we would have taken it, or would we? I'm probably being hypocritical. I'm talking to myself here. Would we? I think we were still disappointed. With just finishing outside, and but there was foundations laid. Ambrose was emerging, Bent was emerging. There was one or two others going to play. Garvin was playing. There was good young players in the group, and there was a feeling. There was definitely a feeling, and that was generated through the manager and the staff too. So a lot of credit has to go to him too.
Definitely. From a personal point of view, obviously the change of style under Joe Royle saw you weigh in with a large number of assists compared to previous seasons, and you became, you probably were very good at set plays, but you certainly had more options to do that. Was there a lot of work on you, assisting goals and taking free kicks?
I practiced every morning.
Yeah.
So I was in early. I got Supple and Price in, and did I have to pay them? I probably had to pay Supple more than Price. And I had this, and I set up the wall and everything else, and I practiced, and it was about quality. And Willie was big on set pieces, and it was about delivery. And so it's like anything. You want to be better at something, you go and practice. So I love practice, loved hitting areas, thinking about golfers, the great golfers, thinking about the R's, the 1,000 shots. I think Sir Alex made reference to that in his book about the repetition, so that when you come into the pressure cooker situation, if it's a 100-yard chip to win the Masters, it's because you've hit that shot a million times. So I kept thinking about that, and it was repetition for me, getting out there, practice. But it's like when I went to Southampton, having left Oxford, I had every penalty and every free kick. I missed one penalty at Oxford. Well, they had Matt Latiz, so I wasn't going to take penalties or hit free kicks. So you put your hands up and said, he's actually better than me. So when Roycer played, or Vino, for example, and there was an opportunity for a set piece in around the box, Martin Roycer was a better dead ball specialist than me in terms of how he hit his or how he approached free kicks. So you go, that's me, away you go. Now, if you don't put it in the top corner, you and I are going to fall out because I'm hitting the next one. But by and large, he was very good, Roycer, and excellent set piece. But again, I took that responsibility on, and I wanted to practice, and I enjoyed practice.
I like the fact that Martin Roycer was scoring free kicks under fear of being, spoken to by you.
Yeah. I always stood quite close to him, saying, "Better go in," but no pressure.
Let's move on to 2003-04. So you've turned 34. You've been given the captaincy. Matt Holland has departed in the summer, and remarkably, you're going to start all 46 league games this season. Was there any expectation from Joe Royle or yourself about how many appearances you were going to play that season?
No, and again, given Joe's knowledge and experience and the knowledge of his backroom team, listen, it was, let's see how far he can go with this. Let's see, and the last thing I wanted was pity. And the last thing I wanted was to be a token gesture. For me, if I couldn't influence players or influence the game, then put me in the stand or put me in the bench, do whatever you have to do. Listen, the team comes first, 100%. I'm not going to make it easy for you to leave me out, because if I think I'm doing well and I think I deserve to be in the team, I'm going to tell you that. But by the same token, if you're not doing well, you don't deserve to play. So Joe must have felt I still had an influence on the group, and that was great. I actually didn't know that stat, Sean. I didn't actually know I started off, which again was fantastic, and I obviously was trying to enjoy every minute of it.
That's why you follow the Renegade Statman, Jim, on Twitter.
Absolutely, correct.
So coming out of administration, Joe Royle builds a team through free transfers: Kelvin Davis, George Santos, and Andressa Diallo. But they failed to produce the goods, and we're bottom in September. Money's obviously still an issue, so Marcus Bent goes out on loan, which allows us to sign Chris Bart-Williams and Alan Mahon. They arrive, and the results start to pick up. Were you frustrated at that time to have such little financial power, the club, to recruit and improve the team?
Yeah, of course you are, because you don't want to be where we were. I've never been there, other than the Premier League. That didn't sit well with me. It didn't sit well with anyone. It didn't sit well with any of the players. Certainly didn't sit well with the manager. So, but there was a kind of recognition that things had changed. Listen, when Bart-Williams and Mann came in, right away you knew quality. Obviously, we knew both of them. So Joe, again, you look at the two managers, the recruitment was brilliant, really good. Drizza was an out-and-out defender. George Santos was run seal. It says exactly what it says in the tin. It does exactly what it says. So George was an out-and-out stopper too, and had been through the lower leagues, and this was an opportunity for him. And two great lads, two brilliant lads in the changing room. But we needed extra quality. You can't keep going on, and it's about the players. It's about the quality of player. So when they came in, they gave us this surge because we knew we had quality then, and we knew we could win games.
Kelvin Davis was a great keeper, and I want to go back to a keeper that played previously in Andy Marshall. Obviously, when he joined Ipswich, we just signed Sereni. He came across the border from Norwich, but things didn't quite work out. Do you know why that was?
Probably pressure more than anything. Pressure of that move, and maybe Andy took too much on himself. Maybe that did have an impact on him. I'm sure it did at some stage. I liked him. I liked Andy Marshall. Again, a great lad, great trainer. When he got his opportunities, did he make the most of them? I think in games he played at some very, very good games. Maybe it was just the whole impact of the move. And listen, if you're going to make that sort of move, you got to have great inner belief and confidence. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying, and you need luck, and you need to have a good start. And if you have them two things on your side, then you're in business. If you don't, it's easy for a blue to get on top of the yellow and look at negatives, and maybe that just got to him.
We go to September 2003. One of my favourite games. It's Shefki Kuchi's debut, and we have a classic Jim Magilton performance. Firstly, an extraordinary assist for Kuchi's goal. Ball played through, and then you spin away from Chamberlain and put the ball into Kuchi's path. And secondly, this question was written by someone else for me, and they've tried to describe it. So I'll say what they put. They say they've come up with a first time, no eyes, reverse chip from the edge of the box for the winning goal.
Beautiful. Great. I couldn't have put it better myself.
Tell us about both, particularly the thought process and what gave you more satisfaction.
I remember at half time, Joe and Willie had a conversation, and we shifted the shape of the team, and we kind of freed me off. So he just said, listen, play in little pockets of space in behind, and let's see if we can influence their midfield, because it was kind of a drab first half, or they were kind of locking us in. There wasn't enough. We didn't show enough courage on the ball. I think when he changed the shape, it freed off room, and it freed off a little bit more pressure on us. So we managed to string a few passes together, and I remember landing on it, and this never changed with Chef. If I land on it with space, run. I come Tom Brady or John Elway, quarterback. You better run. If you come short, right, I am going to kill you. Run, right? So he did, and I remember first thing he did, he spun as the ball was coming out, had a little look. And then the only pass I thought it's going to land in a stride was the outside of the foot, because anything else I didn't have time. I was getting shot, so I thought, right, I'm hitting this. So right away, boom, instinct, and lo and behold, the big lad just goes and scores. So it was brilliant for him, and it was a good ball for me. No, listen, brilliant for him to come, reputation, scoring your debut, class. So good. The other one was just pure instinct as it's come to me. He's off his lane. Then it was about the execution. It's like you used to try and chip all the time. You know, there were times that season, maybe the season after, I just tried to chip every keeper. And the bigger the keeper, the more I tried to chip. Brian Jensen at Burnley, tried to chip him about 12 times, I think, in one game. And it hit the bar. So no, it was just pure instinct. In training, I used to do it quite a bit, because I knew goalkeepers would reposition. So I hit it early. He was expecting the touch. So I hit it early, and listen, it was an execution. Sometimes they go flying, or he catches it and in cherries, and but that one went in, so it was great.
I don't want to turn this into news night, but if I could ask you to answer the question. So what was it? The assist or the goal, Jim?
Oh, the goal.
Of course, without a doubt.
The goal, are you kidding me? The goal. The celebration was cool too. I remember just standing there, I thought, well, do a run or do it. Nah, just acknowledge it. I just stood there and the arms up. So it was the Cantona one, but it was the Magilton one. Do you know what I mean? Did
you ever practice celebrations in the mirror?
Not a chance. No way. I didn't score enough.
My favourite comment out of all of that is when you told Shefki that if he ran towards you that you were going to kill him, and my first thought was, good luck with that. He was like a man mountain.
Yeah.
8 wins in 9, and the arrival of Kuchi really helps the team. And we've talked about a number of strikers before, but can you have a go at describing Shefki? And he was a bit unique, bit eccentric.
Yeah. All of that.
Yeah.
My two boys, loved him. They just seen this man mountain. It was the biggest walking grizzly bear they'd ever seen. So Big Chef had a touch like a grizzly bear too. No, I'm joking. If he's listening, I'm joking, big fella. No, he gave us presence, and he gave us pace. And you think of him and Benty, the last thing a defender wants is facing his own goal and having defend. And when you have that physicality as well, Shefki was a real handful. Now, he would lick you like a teddy bear at times, because wasn't overly aggressive. I wanted to see him slightly more aggressive, but he gave you a lift because of everything that he brought to bringing the changing room. Now, he could be a moody sort at times, but so could we all. So, trained well, just wanted to score goals, was hungry to score goals. And the one thing about him was that, he always came in with a smile too. He enjoyed training.
I think he's one of those very few players that have played for Ipswich that everybody thinks he was a great player. So which is good. Town fans, we soon under Joe Royle got used to incredibly high goal scoring games. If we go to January 2004, we played Crewe at home in a tennis match score of 6-4. Was this a conscious strategy to kind of place less emphasis on defending and outscore them?
I think he just saw the team. I think he's seen the makeup of the team, and he's trying to work out who were the defenders in the team. I think because of our firepower, it was kind of like go and play. Obviously, there was an awareness of defensive responsibilities. You can't go into any game without that. But I think it was just the way it was them serious. It was that series of, unbelievable circumstances just in games. So you have to play the game, and at that time we just had this incredible firepower too, and it was important that we kept winning games and we kept scoring goals, but also like if you have Willie Donny and you have Steve McCall in your backroom team, they aren't high-fiving you after games thinking, yeah, they're delighted that we win the game. But there is the serious point of that is we need to stop conceding goals. If we stop conceding goals, could you imagine then what it'd be like the other side? So again, obviously everything positive, but listen, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do that better. But again, confidence was high and training was good, and and Joe didn't put an awful lot of importance on the tactical side of that in terms of he allowed the players to go and express themselves, and then Willie and Stevie would be in people's ears. Of course they would.
Defenses win titles is what they say. So
totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Talking about defence, so our leaky defence is bolstered by Matt Elliott. He comes on loan from Leicester. Did you play with him at Oxford?
I did.
Yeah.
Incredible player. Again, an unbelievable reputation at Leicester, what he achieved at Leicester. But when Matty came, I think Matty came from Shrewsbury. He was at Shrewsbury to Oxford. He then overnight became an Oxford United legend. He was just this man mountain of a player, of a central defender who could play. Matty could play, and not only that, in both boxes, he headed out of one, and then he headed in the net in the other. His goal record was phenomenal. Scored really important goals, but he was again a top player and a top lad.
So when he came in, a run of 6 wins and 7 cements a playoff place, and despite us not winning in our last 3, so it's going to be your 3rd time with Town in the playoffs. How did it compare with the previous experiences?
It was different. It felt slightly different, because in the others we were so disappointed. Do you know what I mean? Getting there, we were kind of like the underdogs to a large extent. So there wasn't as much pressure on us as such. And I don't know if that went against us, but there was a feeling of relief too. We're in there. Now, listen, let's ramp this up a bit. Let's get into this. Let's go and really, impose ourselves. There's lots to play for here. Massive, prize at the end of this. And really looking forward to it.
Was there anything different with playing the first game at home?
Yeah, you watch on. Yeah, there was. Because I think pressure to do well. Now, listen, I think in the game we did. And I think that we missed chances. It was always going to be a tight affair. I knew it was. They had really good players, experienced players, but there was definitely a different feeling. There wasn't that nighttime feel, and we were the game on first, I think, and I thought we did well in the game, but so did they. There was just a feeling that they came away from it thinking, let's see what the second leg's going to be, and we all know what the second leg would. They really ramped it up for the second.
I mean, you're right. The first game, just to fill it in, 28,000 fans inside Portland Road. Darren Bent scores the only goal. We get a clean sheet, and I think that's what you want to do. I can't stand Alan Pardew, but he put together. His team was full of Premier League experience, and I think most of us walked away from that game thinking, "We'll take that. We'll take that." So the second game, you have a 1-0 lead, and you're an attacking team. Was there a strategy? What was the strategy going into that game?
Well, there wasn't a protection of the 1-0. There was none of that. That wasn't. But you could feel. We talk about atmospheres, and you talk about being intimidated. I think some of our lads went into it a little bit more intimidated. Joe made big decisions on the night, left one or two out, and was that an influence? I'm not sure. I don't know, because it's only now I'm actually really reflecting. I know how bitterly disappointed I was. And again, Pardew set his team up to play on the counter, even at home, but they really came out of the blocks. The atmosphere in the stadium, and it was one of my favourite grounds to play. It was one of my favourite grounds to go and play in. But I felt that the occasion got to one or two, and
Darren Bent misses a decent early chance.
Yeah, and that going in deadens the crowd. Gives us a platform, gives you confidence. We talked about it, getting off the quick starts. We created a chance, you're right, and didn't take it. And listen, as the game was wearing on, you could feel it grinding us down. We just didn't lack. We lacked on the night enough creativity. We didn't create enough chances, I don't think. They kind of nullified a lot of threats too, and it was bitterly disappointing. Bitterly disappointing.
Matthew Etherington curls in the opener in the start of the second half, and then Christian Daly scuffs home his second. As a professional footballer, is there any point in games when you think we're going to lose this, even when it's kind of 0-0? Was it that kind of environment?
No, not even at half time. I remember Willie being very strong with us. What's happened? Why aren't we playing? And he was right. We got to show courage on the ball. Let's get on the ball. Let's play. Let's start now dominating the opposition. And I think it was one time where he just said, "We're winning the game. We keep a clean sheet, we win the game. But let's go and play better, because we haven't played as well as we have played. Go out and play." And I was kind of like, "Come on, let's go and play. And it kind of it fizzled out for us. And when you're going through that, you're thinking, this is not our night. And never once have I ever felt that in a playoff game. Never once, not even in the semi against Bolton. Never. I just always felt. And that night, the game just kept getting away from us. We weren't as good as them on the night. And if you're not right, and if you're not firing on all cylinders, you don't win a playoff.
So you're now 35. Sorry, you're aging quickly during this pod, Jim. 2 seasons ago, you were told that you were you could leave on a free, and since then you started another 87 league games, and you become the captain. Which aspects of the games were becoming easier with age, and which aspects were becoming harder?
Yeah, great question. The game was becoming easier for me in terms of my knowledge of the game. I was always a very a learner of the game. I always wanted to find out even the next fad in the game, S&C coaches and all the rest. But Willie was big. Willie changed a lot of the aspects with me, and Willie was brought up in a fantastic era of the game, but again, it was like an old school era. But Willie introduced yoga into the program, meditation, a lot of things, thoughts. We all were in the yoga classes. I was useless at it, but loved it. And so for me, I witnessed this next birth, if you like, of players coming in it was kind of like my dad had a great saying of just because a bee buzzes doesn't mean it's busy. There were a lot of busy bees flying about who actually didn't really make a great impact in the game. By standing still, sometimes, you see a lot of things going on around you, and there's a lot of movement, but actually standing still and still being responsible and still putting yourself in a position for the ball made it easier for me, because you could hear people coming in after you, and it's kind of and you were just playing around people. As long as you had a picture in your head, and as long as you were still mobile to a certain extent, I still felt more than capable of having an influence on the games. I felt that obviously there was a lot of emphasis on the physical attributes of the game. That was becoming clearer and clearer. But again, I just felt very comfortable in that surrounding towards the latter stage, because I'd gained so much knowledge throughout my career with great coaches and great managers and great players that I knew that as long as I kept myself in condition, I'd still have an influence. So pre-season wasn't probably as easy as it had been in the past. I think there was one eye on me in that, and I think they looked after me in that, which was great. Because as you're coming up, your knowledge of yourself becomes greater. Your knowledge of, well, listen, a day rest. I hated missing anything. I hated missing training. But for me to have an influence in the game on a Saturday, I had to be more conscious of me and my body and recovery.
So before we get to the pre-season bit there, quick question is just an answer, yes or no at this stage in the pod. Had you considered retirement?
No.
Good. Let's move on. 2004-05. So we've got a massive wage cutting exercise to go. You know, we're still massively in debt. And I don't know if I want to read out all of these players' names, but Marcus Bent, McGreal, Macon, Bart Williams, Wright, Santos, Armstrong and Roycer all go. But, you know, Joe Royle, being Joe Royle and experienced, brings in two good players. Jason DeVos comes in. Always rated him very highly. And your old mate Kevin Horlock.
Yeah.
But perhaps more importantly, he retained the goal threat of Ben and Cucci and Pablo. Tommy Miller also coming in from goals. Did this feel like the team had improved from the previous season?
Well, you don't lose that amount of players and feel you've improved. You don't, because losing that quality and depth, you're not improving the squad, right? So that's fact, right? But what you can't deny is that the quality was being brought in too. That was important. There was old heads in Kev, and I played with Kev. I knew what he was going to bring us. Benty was going to be really important for us. Chef was always going to be, and Pablo was going to be important. So who was the other one? Who was the other one you mentioned, Sean? Sorry.
Tommy Miller weighed in with a number of goals as well. Yeah.
And who came with Kevin?
Jason DeVos.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah.
He was massive. Massive influence. A massive influence with me too when the next stage of my career came in. So he was a massive presence, and he gave us stability. And defensively, we became very strong and stronger, especially with the goalkeeper as well. He was outstanding. So no, it was still equipped and geared to really have a go. So no, there wasn't a lack of confidence, just that lack of the lack of depth of quality.
So you start the season injured, and I'm sure I've said that a couple of times now, so I don't know what you do during pre-season, but you return at the end of August, and it's suddenly 5 wins in 7. Top of the league in mid-September.
Yeah.
Any parallels between this season and 1999-2000 at all?
Yeah, there really was, Sean. There was a feeling. You got a feeling, and that's really important. There was momentum. Again, the consistency of message, the consistency of training sessions. There was a feeling of training was good, really good. Tempo was good. Intensity was good. All the things that remind you of good teams, good habits. And there was a feeling growing. Players were confident. There wasn't an awful lot of chitter chatter from staff. They didn't have to. Just kept people on their toes. So, yeah, there was a definite connection with that group. We were just in that lovely groove when there was a real self-awareness of where we were and also an awareness of the opposition. Benty and Sheffield were frightening the life out of people. They were scaring them to death. Miller was coming up with goals. There was just a nice, lovely confidence within the group.
The team are superb, and leading into Christmas, we've signed Darren Curry from Brighton. Yeah. There's another run of 6 wins in 8 through the winter months, but many of the town fans will want me to ask you about this game. We play Wigan just before Christmas, top of the table clash, televised at home. What do you remember of that period, and in particular the Wigan game and Darren Bent's late winner?
Remember, David Unsworth came, didn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Unsworth was a massive influence.
He hasn't joined yet. He hasn't joined at that point, yeah.
Yeah. I remember it being a really tough game. A tough game. They were an aggressive bunch. They wanted to be aggressive with us, which was fine. They felt that being aggressive with us and trying to intimidate us was the way they were going to win the game, and they had a lot of good players. So it was a really tough encounter. And I remember thinking, we got to stay in the game. We got to stay in the game. There weren't many chances, if I remember rightly. You know, kind of like nullified each other. But you know what? As the game wore on, I thought we were going to get a chance. And I remember it falling to Bendy. And I remember him scoring. And I'm thinking, this could be ours. This year could be ours. This is our year. And I don't really go that far. I don't try not to. But I just had that feeling because of the game, the way, the nature of the game. The feeling in the changing room afterwards was huge. DeVos led it, obviously, because he left Wigan. It was just huge. And there was a real feel-good factor in the change room. And did I get caught up in it? Maybe. But still a long way to go.
What did you think of Leighton Baines' goal in that match? One of the people often say one of the best opposition goals scored at Portman Road.
And what a player too.
Yeah.
What a player. And went on to do it many, many times after that. Just quality from a quality player. Really good player.
Keep calm and carry on shopping, it says Jim My Cup. So you mentioned it. Yeah, I spoke to someone the other day and I said, what I particularly liked about interviewing you is that you almost are preempting what the next questions are. So we talk about David Unsworth. He joins on loan from Portsmouth, and on the 18th of February after a draw at Preston, you're top of the league with 13 to go, 3-point gap to Paul Jewell's Wigan and a 6-point gap to Mick McCarthy's Sunderland. However, in the game against Leicester, Shef Kikuchi picks up an injury, and what follows is a pretty terrible run. We lose 3 games, Watford and QPR at home in the week, and then Wigan away. Talk to us about that run, and I want to speak to you about the match away to Wigan. It's again a top of the table clash, and it's pretty much the first time that we see you on the bench for a big game since you've arrived at the club. With all due respect to you being on the bench at Liverpool in the League Cup.
Yeah, I think that it probably was the right decision. I didn't enjoy it, but listen, we went there. I wasn't. It's amazing how it turns. Do you know? Even you saying that, it all comes flooding back to me. Them emotions. You know, 6 points clear. You know, and again, there was always this feeling. Good players, good teams. You know, we have to keep on top of the game. So Joe obviously went with the attitude of, we're not going to lose the game, and we have enough firepower to win the game. So let's go toe to toe in terms of maybe a more combative midfield. You know, and because Bullard was there, Jared was there. You know, they had nitty gritty. McCulloch played. You know, so it was kind of a match him and know that with the pace that we had up top, we could always hurt them. So away from home, it was a game plan, and it didn't work, and it didn't happen for us. But again, we didn't create enough, and there may have been a game maybe with that lack of experience, you know, in them sort of pressure cooker situations. Although, you know, we had enough about us, we should have. You know, I just didn't think we were playing well enough with the ball, and Willie and Stevie and Joe recognised that too. But again, if you bring it to people's attention, they'll only focus on that. Joe's great things were, coach when you're winning. Coach players, because they'll do anything. They'll stand on their head if you're winning football games. If you're losing football games, you're negative and there's a negativity. So losing 3-5, there's a negativity attached around the ground. There's this, you know, like unwritten, you know, cocoon, if you like, being built, and the atmosphere around, oh, they've blown it, they've done that. No, we hadn't. You know, we're still bang in the middle of this. We've lost games, especially in the Championship. You know, Sean.
Yeah.
There's that many highs and lows. If you can gain a level of consistency throughout, then you stand a great chance of winning promotion. We had a lull, and we had to react off that lull.
So as I said, we were 3 and 6 points clear, but after those 3 games, with 10 to go, we're now 3 points off Wigan and Sunderland, and we're in 3rd place. But what follows is 4 wins in 5, and you score 2 and 2. Firstly, a nice finish against George Burley's side, and then you score your a 25-yarder against Rotherham, into the corner against Rotherham. Sunderland are clear now after an 8-game win streak, but you're 3 ahead of Wigan with 5 to go. How are the nerves going into the home straight?
Great, because we've been there. Well, I've been there, and a few others been there. I was very relaxed. I was conscious that there were nerves within the change room. You could feel it, and it was relaxing the players. And again, it wasn't doing anything other than coming in, applying yourself in training, right? Making sure you were spot on. Keep doing the same things, right? Keep focused. Don't let the outside influences get to you. Play in the moment. Constantly play in the moment. Now, there was a lot of buzz around the town. Of course there was. And there was a lot of excitement, but a lot of nerves too, you know, and we needed to be able to stand up to that. Again, with Joe's vast experience, Willie, Stevie's, you know, we had enough experience in the backroom team not to allow it to get to us. So there's no, you know, there wasn't any negativity around us at all, Sean.
No. So second place is not to be, unfortunately. Wigan pick up 11 points and we only pick up 6. So we finish third on goal difference. Obviously, we outscore Wigan, but I think we conceded about 55 goals that season.
Yeah.
You're on the bench for the big game against Sunderland in that run, but you round off a lovely move to score against Crewe as well.
Yeah.
But we go into the last game level on points with Wigan. They're playing at home to Reading, and we visit Brighton.
Yeah.
There's a 13 goal deficit in the goal difference. I just have to scroll down here. You've been here twice before, twice in the late 90s. How did this final day stack up, given Wigan put 2 early goals in, and after about 20 minutes, the game was...
Devastation.
Yeah.
It really was. I fell out with the referee, funny enough. Actually in the tunnel. I forget who the ref is. He's refereeing in the Premier League now. He was wearing white boots.
Wow.
I told him to take them off.
Yeah.
I sat there. I said, you know what's at stake here? You're wearing white boots. We're live on telly and you're wearing white boots. He went, what? I said, take them off. I said, well, honestly, take them off. Get them boots off you. It's not about you. Right? And he kind of was looking at me thinking, is he joking? I was like looking at him. I'm not joking. Take them boots off. Half time he changed his boots. Right? I couldn't believe it. And I'm looking at the referee's boots in another big game. But I said it wasn't good, I have to say. And it wasn't good in the change room afterwards. It's the first time where I'm sitting there and going, do we have enough? I remember Tony Gill actually speaking about it. I'm not sure they have enough. Obviously, we're playing West Ham again, so he's giving West Ham. And I remember him saying, I think they've gone. I think they've gone. And I'm going, well, we'll soon see you who's gone. And that kind of way got me back into the reality of the situation. But you know what? I'm not sure, because there was still a lot of talk about players going and players staying and whatever. I'm not sure there was, and I didn't feel it at the time. And maybe I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking, was that a reason for us not to get promoted? I don't know. I just think that it was a long drive home. It wasn't a good feeling because of the opportunities that presented itself. You don't get many opportunities to get out of the championship that were presented to us, that we kind of like fluffed our lanes. Did we have enough about us to go again? That was the thing that was worrying me. Could we go again? Could we really get ourselves up for the game? Playing away from home helped in the first game. And the reality of the situation of the first game is, my goodness, they came at us like a train. A train.
But before the train leaves the station, was there any doubt in your mind that you wouldn't be starting that game? Obviously mindful of the fact that, you know, the Wigan and Sunderland games, you were on the bench.
I think he trusted me, and I think he wanted me to play. I think he had great trust in me, Joe. Do you know what I mean? And as did the staff. And maybe we just needed, we needed experience. We needed old heads in that sort of pressure cooker situation. I couldn't wait. So
picking up the point, the train has left the station, and we're within 13 minutes we're 2-0 down.
Yeah.
Did you have any thoughts back to Bolton in 2000 in the first leg?
I did, because they had good players. Of course they did. Matthew Ellington gave Drizza an absolute torrid time. God love him. Tied him up in knots. But I knew they'd hit a plateau, and I felt then as the game was wearing on, it's one of my favourite games, Sean, believe it or not. It's one of my favourite games, because as the game wore on, I could see them wilt. I could see them, and I could see them and they were begging. Ray Coker and all were begging, and I'm loving it. He couldn't get near me. He was chasing shadows, Ray Coker, and I was loving it, right? And I'm thinking, we got these. Miller again, free kick. I'm weighing it up. All I see is a mass of bodies. I'm thinking, can I get it over the top of the wall? I said, Tommy, come here. Tommy had one of the hardest side foot finishes. I said, Tommy, this is made for you, right? Don't even think about it. Get your head down, boom. And I'm thinking, Chris Powell, who was brilliant and a lot of respect for him, he could sniff it. He's trying to G him up. I knew we were on the ascendancy. Got in at half time. I'm flying. Foam. There's foam coming. I'm going, right, we're on the front foot here. We have got these. They're not sure now. They've started. We have now put doubt in their head. That's good. Now we've got to go again. And then we go again. I think we started the second half like a house on fire. I think we came out the blocks really quickly. We were on top of the game, really on top of the game.
So Sheffield gets the equaliser. We're back to Portman Road level 2-2.
Yeah.
How confident are you going into the second game, given that West Ham had beaten us in the playoffs the previous season, and also just beaten us at Portman Road a couple of months previous to the game?
Yeah, and done a job on us.
Yeah.
Tactically done a job on us. And I wasn't, you know, when you go into situations like that, old feelings come through. So it's hard not to think about that night. Do you know what I mean? Set up exactly the same. They would have had doubt. They definitely were coming in the game with doubt. I remember speaking to Malky Mackay and Don Hutchinson before the game, and they were, Pardew was hammering his players about not getting after me and this, that, and the other. And I think they were psychologically playing the game too. They're gonna do this and they're gonna do that, and I'm going, yeah, let them try and blah 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 and all this sort of thing. And so, and again, Don Hutchinson and Malky Mackay weren't in the squad. You know, they're sitting in the stand, so their depth was huge. I just felt very confident. I just felt that it was set up for us. The atmosphere within the ground was unbelievable. I think people were thinking back to, you know, that night and ready for it. I think we were all ready for it. There was no question that we weren't ready for it. But again, you know, I think Bentley missed a great chance early on, a really good chance early on, and it kind of like flattened us. And then as the game was going on, they had real quality, fantastic Zamora and people like that. Martin Herwood come on, Ria Coca. You know, they had really good players. They had great experience in their team, and they knew. You know, I could hear Powell chirping away, saying all the right things. And as the game wore on, we didn't create enough. We kind of and that was an awful feeling. Kind of just petered out.
Yeah, I think from a fan's point of view, it was disappointing. But let's not take anything away. I think you're right from West Ham, and the sight of Alan Pardew dancing down the touchlines is something that I've tried to erase from my mind.
Yeah.
Was it hard for such an attacking team to adjust to strategic battles like that in you know, one-off playoff games, effectively, as it was winner takes all?
Yes and no, because again, if that's the strength to your team, you're not going to change it for one game. There has to be an acknowledgement. Without the ball, we had to be better. That, you know, that was a weakness in our team. But we're in a playoff semi-final because of the strengths of the team. So we were very conscious of that. I'm very conscious that they could really hurt us without the ball. We give the ball away in loose possession. Bobby Zamora scores a great goal. It's over his head and it's a volleys. And Kel he hits it really early. And we get done. And we've gone for it. And again, it was huge disappointment. And we blew it. There's no point going. We blew it in the season. We had it in our hands. And our fate was in our hands. And we blew it. We absolutely blew it. There's no question about that. And for whatever reasons, we just let it get away from us. And going into that, we probably, you know, the second half performance at Upton Park was our playoff. And we just didn't have enough in the locker.
We spoke about the long-term effect of the club when they had the chaotic recruitment in summer 2001, where the approach changed. Many supporters view this playoff semi as another significant sliding doors moment where Town missed out. Did it feel like that at the time, given the club's financial position and all of the saleable assets in the side?
Yes, it did, Sean. You can't. It did, because again, as much as you don't want to influence you, press was rife with it too. You know, there was a lot of talk around it. There was, you know, speculation around players. There was speculation around the club. You know, Joe had done such an unbelievable job. You know, if you look, you've just lost 2 playoffs. how do you go again, given the number of players that left the season before and given the players that he brought in to get to the levels we had to get to have the season that we had, to not get promoted. There is devastation. You're devastated. So it was a difficult transition. Definitely, a lot was going through our minds, and a lot was going through my mind too. Well, could I go again? Could I really go again?
So I'll ask you the question now. So it's 2005-06, and it's just a yes or no answer. Did you think about retirement during that summer?
I didn't think about retiring from the game, but I thought, what's my impact? And that was always, and I had this conversation with Joe, and Joe being the fantastic man that he is, he felt that I could offer something. So that's probably because he was gained with he had the knowledge that who else was going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who else was going to go? So losing too many. I knew then, for the first time in my professional life, I knew that I wouldn't probably start at games. And that kind of way hit home to me, and how much that would affect me mentally.
If we talk about players, and you mentioned about the season before that we lost some players, I'm going to list some more names now. So we, Kelvin Davis, he goes. Bent and Cucci goes, and Tommy midfield. Tommy Miller in midfield goes as well. That's over 500 Ipswich appearances and 140 goals between them.
Yeah.
Sam Parkin and Nicky Forster come in and try and get the goals, but how hard is it to cope with knowing that all of these key players have left the club?
It's really difficult. It was really difficult for me because I'd been spoiled. I'd been spoiled rotten because I had good players. And when you're playing with good players, it makes you a better player. And you're going into games safe in the knowledge you're not going to lose many. So I was going into games thinking, how are we going to win a game? And maybe for the first time in my Ipswich Town life, wearing a shirt, I didn't know how we were going to win a game. That was, and negativity has never been part of my life. So I was going into games, I wouldn't, not overtly negative, but psychologically knowing the opposition, how are we going to score goals? How are we going to win the games? How are we not going to concede goals? And how are we going to score on the other end? And I think that was playing on me constantly, and that's not a nice feeling. And that was not a nice way for me or the manager or the staff to be going in the games. Like, listen, Joe never went in. I doubt that Joe would have acknowledged that same thing.
Yeah.
And he brought people in. Sam had a big reputation. Sam was a good player. He just didn't hit the ground running, didn't kick off for him. He had good qualities. Nicky had a great reputation. Was an out-and-out goal scorer. Just didn't happen for us. So again, you can't rely on others within the group to take that on to the next level. We knew the levels we had to get to, and we simply weren't at that level.
So at the first game of the season, you start alongside Owen Garvin. Was there a thought there at all about the changing of the guard from you and to Owen, and kind of draw some parallels between the two players?
Yeah, he wouldn't have accepted that. He was worse than me. He would not have accepted that. If you'd have said that, he'd have just said, "Yeah, just hand it over to me. You're done. Get you out." Just that would have been Garvin. But and that's what I loved about him. Yeah, of course there was a recognition that Garvin was going to step in, and there was a recognition that we had some player. There was a recognition. When I looked at Garvin for me never fulfilled his true potential, and he had this wonderful gait. He covered the ground. People thought, when he was in, his knowledge, his way of pass, his quality of pass was excellent. He was a different type than me, because he could thread. He could really feel a pass in terms of his instinct. He had more of an instinctive one than me, and that's what I kind of liked. He trusted him with the ball. He could handle the ball, and he was. And when I look at all videos, I look at Franz Tyson. He was nowhere near him. But when I look at how Tyson shielded and protected the ball, Garvin had a little bit of that because he was long-legged and he was sometimes quite ungainly. Not that Franz was ungainly, but he managed to get himself out of situations. So yeah, I recognise his strengths and recognise that if I can influence Garvin and give him a bit of my experience, he's going to be a better player for it.
So at the start of 2005-06 is a good start. We win 3 in 5, but then I think on a bank holiday Monday we get thumped 4-0 at home by Preston.
Yeah.
David Nugent, we might talk about him later. And that starts a run of only 3 wins in the next 18. But then we do get a significant Magilton moment in November. You score your last goal of your career at Derby. It's a fantastic right-footed free kick. If you had to choose your last goal, would that have been it?
Probably not. Do you know what I mean? I like to have been at home. But no, listen, it was, again, it was just, it was fantastic. Listen, every time you score goals, fantastic. So it was huge emotion. Of course there was always emotion. As I said, when you score goals, you go delirious. So, no, listen, it was an important goal. And no, I didn't think it was going to be my last, but it certainly turned out to be my last. And, but no, I had, there were fantastic moments. And that was another one for me. Scoring a goal for Ipswich Town is always a big moment.
Yeah. So would you have taken a free kick as your last goal, or would it have been a mazy dribble or a 30-yarder?
No, I took a free kick. I'd definitely taken a free kick, but it would have been nice in the North Stand or somewhere like that, So
fantastic.
Yeah, but that wasn't going to happen. And as I said, I didn't really get caught up in it too much, John. It was the emotion, of course, of the game. I was always trying to have that influence on players where I didn't get caught up in that. Get caught up in the game. That's what we're getting paid for.
Now, for people who are listening and watching this, it's time now to get some tissues, because I know a lot of people you were their favourite player, and as I always tell them, no, he's my favourite player. You go and get another one. But that Derby game signalled the last 90 minutes of game that you played for Town, and you were going to be used to 60 to 70 minutes here and there, and coming off the bench.
Yeah.
You come across, I don't know why, but as somebody who's quite competitive, how did you handle that situation?
Do you know what? There was it was a lovely lead-in, and I couldn't have had a better manager to lead me out of the club in terms of playing. He did so much for me. He had a huge influence on me. So for me to have it, Joe Royle was great because of, again, his background, his knowledge, his great experience. He did it quite beautifully, I have to say. Up until the last game, because I remember him coming to me at halftime and said, "Well, do you want to come off now? Do you want to come off?" I'm thinking, what's he talking about? What's he talking about? I'm thinking, does he want to make a change? Do you want to make a change? Make a change, But I didn't really get it. So I think he was giving me the opportunity to get, a bit of an ovation whilst in the game. And I thought, what's he talking about? So, obviously he was keen and 100% to win the game. I said, no, listen, if you make it to me, I'll come off, no problem. And then I thought, me? Oh, yeah. Sick. So there you go. And no, I hung about. There was probably part of me thinking, well, I'll just get off now. And thanks very much. It was great. Yeah, see you later. So I think everybody else was a bit worried about it too. I think he'll do a runner. If you don't get hold of him, lock him down. So no, it was actually, you know what? I have fantastic memories as a player at that club. It means the world to me. And the fact that I had, I was part of dressing rooms and part of great players and managers and staff and fans that, and my 2 sons were there. I remember that was the emotion for me, because my sons have been reared on Ipswich Town, and Morky and people like that were huge, they played a huge part in their lives too. And listen, walking out there, what the players did for me, and then the fans hanging about, they didn't have to, but they did. The walk was quite emotional, and it was great. It was just great. And players, I got fantastic texts, and and even to this day, like what this has evoked is fantastic memories, good and bad, because disappointment and huge joy. That's the game. That's the emotion. That's a roller coaster that fans go through. Well, that's the same sort of emotions that players go through. To end it in the way it did was just fantastic, and a huge debt of gratitude goes to you as supporters, and also the club, and also the manager, because without them, it could have ended differently. I'm glad I hung around. I'm really, really glad I hung around, because it was so important for me to show my gratitude to a place that embraced me, gave me a platform to play, give me this unbelievable field of dreams. I always say that, the grounds when Alan Ferguson gave me a patch of grass that I could only dream of. So for me to play on it, be a consistent performer, give a little bit back, playing with a group of players I played with. Listen, it was just heaven for me. Honestly, it was heaven.
But you're not done, because that was your last home appearance. And
no.
As you and I know, Jim, it was 14 years ago today that happened. But then you came on as sub at Home Park at Plymouth.
Yeah.
And then the final whistle went. What went through your head, and what happened over the next few weeks?
Oh, a lot of thoughts and a lot of contemplation and a lot of real tough questions. Did I have it? Was I going to? We were relocating. You know, collecting the boys. We were heading up the road. We had Pickford at the door. We were ready to go. We were moving to Ainsdale. There were opportunities coming up. Joe was going to have a major influence on that. He was going to help me. Could I play on as a player manager? Could I have an influence? I'd just finished, I was just participating in my coaching badges. And so the next phase of my life was complete. I was very at ease with it, Sean. I didn't think I was going to be at ease with it. So, but I definitely wanted, I knew the next phase, this journey I'd been on, 20 years as a player, wasn't going to go to waste. I was so determined to be a coach or be a manager and feed off the fantastic people that had an unbelievable influence on my life and career. So I wanted the next step. And lo and behold, the next step wasn't far away from me. But it was, do you know what? It was just not often do you sit down and go, do you know what? You've done well. I think you got every ounce of your ability, and you were very lucky. I felt very, very lucky to have played at the clubs, to play with the players. A massive thank you for everybody that had an influence on me, from my boys' clubs, from my teachers, to fans, to everyone that had an unbelievable influence on me. I'm one of those lads that could not have done this without them. I couldn't have played in the team without the players around me. I couldn't have had the influence without them. I was so appreciative of everything that the game had given me. And then I wanted to continue in my career. I didn't want to let it go, in terms of, this was my game. This was what I loved.
What do you miss most as a player?
Playing, the competitive nature, winning. I love winning. A great coach, Vince Lombardi, talked about, well, if winning didn't matter, why do we keep the score? We keep the score because we want winners. We want people to win, right? And it's all right, pats in the back. Listen, after a game, you lose a game. Yeah, well done. See it. I hate it. And it's a Billy Bean. It's Moneyball. I hated losing more than I enjoyed winning. Well, I was that sad man too. Now, I love the highs. But I hated losing. Oh, my God, I hated losing. Probably more than I enjoyed winning. And I could enjoy winning.
11th of May 2006, we as fans find out that Joe Royle is stepping down, and I think the phrase he used with the local media was that he felt that he was juggling dust at the end with transfers. How did that news break to you? And did it start a thought process off in Jim's mind about what the future could be?
The process already started, Sean. So I was shocked, I have to say, because of Joe's huge influence. We couldn't have had a better man in charge, given the circumstances. He had pulled rabbits out of hats. He made us competitive again. There was a belief. Last season didn't go well. I think that he wanted to continue. I didn't know that at the time, but he wanted to continue. He was right. He was juggling dust. There's no getting away from that. I think, with Ipswich Town fans, they're not. You don't suffer fools. You knew what he had done. You knew where he was coming from. You accepted that. And Joe just felt that we needed more input, financial input. And I think as a manager who's been in the game so long, he wasn't talking rubbish. He was talking fact. And the fact that he walked away or whatever happened was a huge disappointment, because, again, personally, he had a massive influence on me, and I thought he had a massive influence on the football club, and it needed it most.
So after the 11th of May, who was the first person that said to you, do you fancy being manager?
I had a phone call. Brenner rang me, and he asked the opinion about managers, and I kind of dropped it in, and he kind of say, do you want to be manager? And I went, do you know what, brother? I might want to be manager.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jim.
I remember going up the academy. David had asked me, there was something going on in the academy, and there was a prize given to Joe Gunn. I went, I'd never, ever, right? Obviously, gone through an interview process, and I wanted to go through an interview process, and that's in the next one.
Perfect. What a way to end, Jim. But before we do, should we announce the winner of your Inter Milan shirt? We had a number of people who had liked and shared and commented and subscribed to different tweets and YouTube channels and stuff. And it was done randomly, because if it wasn't, it would have been me or my son that would have won it. So do you want to announce who the winner was?
The winner was Robert Metcalf. The lucky winner.
He is a lucky winner. So, Robert, if you can get in touch on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, or by emailing bluemondayitfc@gmail.com, we'll arrange to get him to be in contact with you, Jim. And I think you said that, you'd be quite happy to sign.
I'll send it to you, Sean. I'll send it to you. Okay, yeah. Sign it. If he wants me to sign it, I'll sign it. Yeah.
Good stuff.
You find out?
Yeah, I will find out for you, Jim. No problem. Thanks for your time. I think part 4 is going to be something that we're all really looking forward to, but that's not to take anything away from parts 1, 2 and 3, because it's been, for me and the viewers as well, a real insight into somebody who was very close at a fantastic but also a difficult time at the club. So thanks very much, Brilliant. Jim, and I look forward to you in part 4.
Brilliant. Great to speak to you. All the best.
Take care.